Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the brand new podcast called The Crab Net. I'm your host, Raj, and this podcast is all about getting authentic, informed opinions about football from people who love the beautiful game. Note that the show will be very raw, with sometimes having swear words, which will not be dubbed. So if you don't enjoy hearing swear words, maybe this is not for you. We will try to keep it as clean as possible, but we can't give you a lot of promises on that one. Well, some of you are probably wondering where this name comes from, right? So the crab net term was used to describe that small little goal area that most of us used in our younger days when we used to play football on the streets. If you are South African Indian who grew up in townships like Chatsworth, Phoenix, some boys in Sydenham, maybe you would know it from the back in the day. But we refer to this as the crab net, and taking it back to our roots and bringing opinions from the street. Okay, so this name is a throwback, and we're going to take it through as far as we can with good opinions from people who are known to the host, who's me. Okay, so introducing the boys who's going to be joining me for this podcast, starting with Shayan. Shayan is our closest to being a professional footballer. Shay, give a heads up to the people out there.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here. Looking forward to this.
Okay, Shay is a lifelong United supporter, so he's very happy since we're just recording after United have scraped through in the quarterfinals of.
Literally scraped it, bro. Scraped it. Disappointing. Feel like we are Liverpool of 10 years ago right now.
Yeah. But a lot to be excited about. We've got a feature on United coming up. But that's Shay. Shay is going to be one of our three resident analysts on the show. Moving on to the next one, homeboy Gur. Gur, shout out to the team and everyone out there.
What's up, everybody? Thank you, Raj, for having me. And I look forward to delivering some insightful and honest opinions. Taking it back home, I like that's what you said about us taking it back to the streets. And we're going to do this. We're going to be honest. We're going to speak from the heart. And, let's do this.
Not too much from the ask about SG because Gur is our second United supporter. He's got very raw opinions about his team. So we'll hear it through the many episodes. But I love his fresh approach to looking at the game. You'll hear it come out in many of our major topics. Moving on to our last panelist, our one and only Arsenal supporter, Kai. Shout out to the team. Kai will be joining us for many of our episodes. How's it, Kai?
How's it, guys? Happy to be here, man. Arsenal supporter, aka impartial contributor to this site, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've got nothing to watch on football now, you know.
Yeah, it's not a good time to be an Arsenal supporter, but
yeah.
Tell him you got nothing to watch on football. They give us football every night, bruh. Every single night. When last have you had football every night in your life? It feels like the World Cup is on.
I'm an Arsenal supporter, so even if I'm watching, I don't really want to watch.
Yeah, I understand.
You and I in the same boat.
Yeah. It's not the best time to be an Arsenal supporter, but yeah, Kai comes with a very direct approach to analyzing the game. Probably comes from his time in England, down the road from White Hart Lane, even though he was a gunner. But you'll see it come out in his way of analyzing the different topics, especially things that talk to Arsenal. So yeah, that's our three homeboys. The four of us will try to keep it fresh, try and keep it streetwise in terms of football. We're not looking to be the Gary Nevilles and Jamie Carragher's of this analyst world, but we're just bringing something different to the game. Okay, so sticking with the football clubs that we love, putting it out there, I'm a lifelong Liverpool supporter, so I'm living on cloud nine right now. We're recording on Saturday, the 27th of June, and it's the week of Liverpool getting the first English Premiership trophy. So I'm on a high
When
right
did you
now.
ever think? When did you ever think you'd hear that in your life, bruh? 30
Yeah,
30
years.
years.
30
What?
years of crying and dying and swearing, but yeah, exciting. One of the topics we'll talk about is that victory. A very successful season, one of the best, yet to be completed, but we'll get to that. But sticking to each of our aspects, you'll see, busted. But yeah, we'll go through something that's hitting home for all of the homeboys teams. We'll talk to Arsenal, we'll talk to United, and we'll talk to the Liverpool victory. But we'll start off with Arsenal. And yeah, this week, some interesting news on the Arsenal side of things. We know it's been a very indifferent season for the Gunners, with Mikel Arteta coming in as coach earlier in the season and taking a sinking ship at that point. He's definitely going through a rebuilding process, and some exciting news to some Arsenal supporters that they've got a few contracts signed. Maybe not the ones that they wanted to get signed, but I guess it's still positive in the end of the day. So we'll talk through that as our first topic, and obviously we'll start off with our resident Arsenal supporter, Kai. What's your views on those new contracts signed this week? The likes of Mari, a short-term contract for Celebos, and obviously the most significant one, David Luiz, made the headlines for all the wrong reasons a few weeks ago.
Sideshow Bob.
Yeah.
So you know
What's your thoughts there?
It's a mixed bag, right? I think we also need to take cognizance of where we are in the world right now. Nobody's going to spend big, and you gotta show up your ship that we currently have, right? So I mean, everybody knows that Arsenal has defensive issues. We don't have the money to go and buy your Koulibalis and all of those things, right? So Luiz, somebody that can at least take us through the end of the season. We got Saliba coming in next year. It's already done last year, loaned out, coming back in. Marie was signed as a long-term replacement as well. So we basically executed that loan clause that allows him to come in permanently. I mean, he's a decent player, right? He was played for Flamengo. They won the league. They won the Super Copa there. I mean,
He's
that's
got age on his side as well.
Young guy, yeah. So, I mean, we got two young defenders coming in. We got Rob Holding still there. So, I mean, keeping David Luiz for at least till the end of the season would be good to get, some knowledge back to those guys, just to get them through. I mean, that guy's won everything. He's won every cup, captain the Brazil time in World Cups. So, yeah. So on a defensive front, I'm fine with those signings. Even Cedric's a good second choice.
Yeah. He hasn't
right
made his
back.
debut yet he's got he's got the contract. So, but we know he's a proven talent in the Premier League with his days in Southampton.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Southampton, he was, one of those flying right backs, And Bellerin, we all know his skills.
The Liverpoolers have to keep tabs on the Southampton when they leave. Huh? They have to know where they are.
Yeah. Side joke.
Yeah,
But yeah,
so I think it's a strong bit of signing, astute little bit of business, I think, from the guys. Ceballos as well, his loan spell is just extended to the end of the season. Probably going to go back to Madrid. But with Xhaka being injured last week, I think it was just to short things up. So it's not bad.
Yeah, and a lot to be optimistic about it, but I think David Luiz is the one that most people are talking about, and obviously with the most recent errors that he's made, and he's never looked like that steady defender that's got that famous move to PSG from Chelsea. Ever since
Yeah,
he came back to the English Premiership, he's just looked like someone who's going to fuck up at any moment. So
Yeah.
are you just being optimistic, or do you really think he's going to add value to a new Arteta setup?
I think ever
Okay, so
since
there's two ways of looking at this one, right? I mean, do you add value on the pitch or off the pitch? So as I explained, we've got a lot of young defenders that are in our ranks. So we actually need him to help our young defense off the pitch. On the pitch, he's useless. I mean, you can see what he's done this season, man. I mean, he played well in a few games, but when he fucks up badly. So I mean, off the pitch is where we need him now. So we signed him till the end of the year, well, end of next year, for off the pitch work, if I can put it that way. But fee wise, it's just too much. I mean, 10 million pounds for this is probably more than what we should be spending. But there's nothing. We don't have any other options. I mean, who can we get in as Arsenal at this stage? We don't have that pulling power anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Shane, maybe you can come in. Yeah, one of the contracts that wasn't signed is Aubameyang. Only 1 year left on his contract. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I
So
did not know that, but that's interesting.
he's going to be a target for many people with just a year on his contract. What's your thoughts on the fact that Arsenal haven't managed to tie him down with just a year left on his contract? We know without doubt he's the best player in that squad at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I'm sure you watched him in Bundesliga when he was at Dortmund, the guy is just an out and out goal scorer. He's got pace, he's got height, he's got power. He he's leading Arsenal at the moment, that's for sure, but I don't think he feels as appreciated as he should because he really doesn't have the team around him at the moment to be giving him that supply to get that 30 goal season. So I understand why he didn't sign the contract. I understand that he wants Champions League football. He wants to be up there with the best. I mean, he deserves to be. You can see the kind of play he is. His quality is just evident. Anyone who watches football can see it. But yeah, maybe Arsenal is not the wrong team for him, but maybe it's just not the right time at the moment. Because Arsenal do have that they are famous for that fluid, slick style of football. Their clean passing, their possession ball, and I think we've seen it in the past with other great strikers in Arsenal. I don't have to mention them, but when the team does get going, the striker always gets going, and they do come up with those 30, 40 goal seasons, which I don't think Aubameyang's going to have right now. So
Yeah,
I
and
understand why he didn't sign that.
he might be getting the goals, but he's not getting those trophies, or not getting close to
Yeah,
those
it's a
trophies.
silverware. It's the silverware. All these big players, they want trophies. They have to. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but at Dortmund they were challenging for the Champions League and they might have even won it at one stage. So I don't know, but
They
they were doing
lost out
quite
on
well.
the final to Munich that year.
Shots, and they may have won Bundesliga as well.
Yeah,
I don't know,
I don't think
but
he came to Arsenal
under
to win.
Jurgen.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, right, this guy came to Arsenal in the last year of Arsene Wenger's reign. Surely he knew what he was coming into. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
firstly, I
came
don't know
into,
if he knew Wenger would have been leaving. He may have not known that.
even if he didn't know,
It
it
was
was a
rumored, if I
sinking
remember.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a sinking Arsenal side. Whether it was Wenger was leaving or not, we were playing pathetically.
But you're saying that now. You're saying sinking Arsenal side. Under the Wenger reign, every Arsenal supporter has been super proud of the amount of titles that he's brought them with the budget that he has to work with
Yeah,
and
but
the restrictions that he's always had.
sinking that ship at that point.
Last time,
Yeah,
last
okay,
time.
I understand. For years, Arsenal's players were screaming Wenger out, Wenger out, and that kind of thing. But I don't think that Aubameyang would have had the foresight to have not come to Arsenal at that stage. I don't think anyone could have predicted what happened with Man United, what happened with Arsenal after
No, I
Ferguson
agree.
and Wenger left.
I mean, another big player that has not seen any success this season, never mind minutes on the pitch, is Mesut Ozil. And Kurt, maybe you can come in here. And what's your thoughts on? I think everyone knows Ozil is not going to be at the Emirates next season.
Really?
I think so. But Kurt, what's your thoughts? Where is he going to be? Why has he not just made any impact this season? He can't even make a substitute appearances when there's 5 fucking subs coming off the bench. What's your thoughts there, Kurt?
So, my opinion, and I want to say opinion, is not based on his looks because we had to try him out already. But Ozil has been that guy that you first saw in the World Cup. And then after that, he's just started stepping down and down and down and down. And he's getting older, but he's getting more and more and more immature. And I think that is why he's a put-off for even Arsenal fans. And if Arsenal fans can pick it up, then obviously the coach, the coaching staff, the players around him can also pick it up, that this guy is too immature. He throws his toys out of the cot when things don't go his way. And he's not the player that you need to play around. Aubameyang is the player that you need to play around. He needs to be that guy that's supplying Aubameyang with those precise passes. But he wants the whole world to revolve around him. And I say, good riddance. Let him go.
Those are strong opinions, right? Strong opinions.
It's not based on his looks, eh? I'm telling you, it's not based on his looks. But yeah, man.
You're talking about him being cockeyed, isn't it? I know that, busted.
But why is his face like slanted that way?
I can elaborate.
His face is always slanted in there.
No, but you made some good ones there in that Ozil has shown he's not willing to fight for the cause. And I think many of the Arsenal supporters, when you hear them online, are saying
I think you're being over-biased right now, guys. I think you're being very biased. You're not being way too biased. I think I agree up until the extent that Ozil is not the player that he used to be, that's for sure. And when he was at Madrid and when he was lighting up the world and winning the World Cup with Germany, he was a different player to what we're seeing now. But at the same time, I really think this has a lot to do with Unai Emery. They just did not have a good relationship. He killed him this season.
But
he kept him on the bench.
But that's
you got Aubameyang and you got Aubameyang and Ozil in the same squad. Which players would you want to link up in that squad? I would say
no, you're
those
right.
two and Lacazette would be golden.
Why is a student of the game like Arteta not using Ozil? That tells you that Ozil
because of what Unai Emery did to him. Because Ozil, you can see from what Gurv said from the start.
Which talks to exactly what Gurv said. Gurv said
it's a maturity problem. It's a maturity problem. No, you're saying maturity problem, and I agree. That's a perspective that I never took before because it may be his attitude and his maturity levels, but at the same time, it's his confidence. It's his energy. It's the energy he brings to the squad. Because you got a World Cup winner in your squad. You want him to be your leader, but they're putting him on the bench. They're killing his morale. They kill his character. He's not going to have that same energy in the change room or on the pitch. He's not going to want to fight for the cause.
And that's why I think he does need a fresh start. I think his days are numbered in the Arsenal red, and we won't see him there next year.
I don't know.
If we do, it's the worst decision for both Arsenal and the great Ozil. But in my opinion, the biggest loss that Arsenal may have in the coming months is the young man Saka. He's also got 1 year left on his contract. It sounds very like a very delicate situation here, Kai. Lots of names lots of big clubs have got Saka on their eye, and if he hasn't signed yet, he's definitely one potentially that you're going to lose. Great talent, but we understand that Arteta is still trying to rebuild the squad. Maybe a last thoughts on you on potential setup going into the new season under Arteta.
Yeah, so I mean,
Sanchez, put him next to Ozil.
Keep that, man. So, I mean, you spoke a little bit about Ozil as well, right? And Aubameyang and them linking up, and Aubameyang should be the future. I mean, I don't believe any of them the future, to be honest with you, right? We've got Martinelli, we've got guys like Saka, Joe Willock, those type of guys are the future. This is basically Liverpool 6 years ago, when you had nothing. There were no star players there besides Coutinho that bankrolled most of the signings that you made with Van Dijk and Alisson and all those guys. This is where we are. This is the crossroads that we are at as Arsenal, right? And our priority is to sign those youngsters. So even if we let Aubameyang go, we should be signing Saka.
Sounds good, guys. Sounds good. I tend to agree with that. Arteta is a fresh mind. We know he's got the talent, he's got the style of play locked down, and you've got to be building that team around the young guys you mentioned. Yeah, so I think the future is hopeful for Arsenal, but we'll have to monitor how they go over the next 7 games and close out the season well to start off well. Okay, moving on, guys, to the exciting new United team that we're seeing. Not the one that we saw at the first half and second half of the Norwich game that took place today. Played absolutely
But we're
shit.
not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about it, but we have to mention it because
I just want
that's
to
maybe
say there
one
was
of the
only-
problems with the
There's only 2
inconsistencies.
players that started that game that started the last league game.
Yeah. And,
It's
I
a different team.
I think there was a lot of excitement earlier in the week when United demolished. So who was it? Saga?
Sheffield.
United, a
Sheffield.
very good Sheffield United team who's done some amazing things in the Premier League debut season after promotion. That United team on Tuesday earlier this week showed what they can do when everyone's on the pitch at the same time. The likes of Fernandes, Pogba running from the middle field, and the front trio of Rashford from the left, Greenwood from the right, and Martial down the middle. Martial benefited the most with a hat-trick that night, but I think the exciting football that was seen by the United fans is something that got all of you buzzing again. So, Gur, maybe give us your thoughts on what you saw on Tuesday night, never mind tonight, but Tuesday night was an exciting night for any United supporter.
Definitely buzzing is the right word. That's what I was feeling. I always feel like this when I see Pogba on. Man, say what you want about Pogba. He also is like an Ozil in terms of attitude. But at the end of the day, I've hardly seen composure from a youngster, especially. Like I've seen it with Pogba. I see so much composure actually that there's certain points where he's supposed to take a shot and he passes the ball. I mean, that's how much of composure it shows. It's so great to see him and Fernandes link up. Those two will be, for the next few years for United, the next Scholes and Giggs. And that's a bold statement that I am making, but I want to stand by it. I want to see those two players stick with United, stick through it. You can see that Solskjaer has got vision for the club. He's bringing all youngsters. It was a bit embarrassing to see that every player on the team was younger than I am.
You're a bully now.
Shows how old you are.
But that's his vision, and I mean Fergie did the same thing back in the day. And Fergie took the academy players and he ran them through, and he got rid of the rotten eggs, and we're seeing it now. Solskjaer is getting rid of the rotten eggs. He's got a long-term plan, if you want to say that. Let's talk about the other guys specifically. Martial, sure, hot and cold that man is.
You know that, right? That's the one thing he doesn't have going for him, that inconsistency. He was brilliant on Tuesday, though.
Very, very. And I mean, you celebrate, but you're like, I don't know if he's going to start the next game. That type of, that's the type of feeling you get from Martial. Rashford, look, man, I love what he has done off the field, and everybody is admitting it. I think he's really young, and he's carrying a lot of weight on his shoulders. Now that we've dropped Lukaku, he is our main striker. And I mean, it's a lighty, still a lighty.
We can still remember when he kicked off in the 2016 year. We labeled Shea Rashford there.
Yeah, because they look the same. But yeah, man, I'm so impressed at this youngster, and he's going to be like a Rooney, basically going to be like a Rooney.
No, for sure, for sure.
Came on the field at 17 and everybody was going crazy. And I mean, he just carried on going up and up and up. And Greenwood, man, what can I say about Greenwood? He's still got a long way to go. I like the way that Solskjaer is playing him. It's not giving him a lot of game time because he still needs to get that experience slowly.
That's true. He's the youngest man out there. We forget that this is his debut season. He seems like he's been there for a long time, but he's literally just hit the ground in this season.
Yeah, I mean, the man can't decide his right foot from his left foot. Like, I mean, both feet are talented.
Foot and mouth disease.
No, but you're right. I mean,
it just shows that he still needs a lot of exposure, but
Yeah.
you need to give him in doses, otherwise he's gonna get overwhelmed.
Yeah, and from the start, from his debut, lots of comparisons with the Van Persies, and you can see those glimpses there. But the exciting thing about what I saw on Tuesday was the link-up play and how that front five has now created a style of play for Man United. That style of play that for so many years everyone has been saying, what is United's identity? But when those five are on the team, you can clearly see dynamic football. You can see overlapping wingers. You can see guys cutting in, the likes of Rashford from the left, Greenwood from the right. Shea, what are you seeing as a key tactical change that makes that new system work for the players that you have?
Well, I think one thing the comments
I'm leading you to a specific answer here, but let's see if you've picked it out the same way that I've seen it.
Nah, I don't know what strategies you're thinking of in your mind, but I know one thing I picked up from watching the game today that the commentator may have mentioned was that it's really good we have all these young attacking players that are moving forward fast, but when you come up against a 10-man Norwich, you're just parking the bus. It kind of feels like everyone's getting in each other's way when it's such a congested penalty area and you've got so much strikers who actually need space to move into, but don't have that space. So, I mean, we were lucky a defender came up with a goal today. And all right, I'm going to build on what Saga said. Yeah, we do have a great bunch of youngsters. I don't want to say a great squad because I really think that this Man United team is very average at the moment. I think there's a very few accomplished players within the squad that may need to go now, and understand why there are a few players still in there, and understand why they're there this season especially. It was important for them to be there. Players such as Matic, who has really underperformed in my opinion from the time he's come from Chelsea. He's not that holding midfielder that we saw winning the Premier League.
Yeah,
he's
but
not
that's
the same
exactly
player.
where I was leading you to, Shay. And then you mentioned Matic, and that's the one guy that sold me on Tuesday's performance. As good as the front five was, Matic playing that deep-lying role that helped Chelsea win the league when he was there with them, he stood out for me on Tuesday. So it just showed that when you're playing against a less offensive team like a Sheffield, who does have a balance between attack and defense, you do need that sitting midfielder. And Matic played that role perfectly on Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe he played the role perfectly on Tuesday, but I don't think he has had a consistent run at Man United, especially when he comes up against the bigger teams. When he was with Chelsea, he obviously had Kante next to him, who was doing a lot of the work. I don't think he's formed that partnership with anyone at United. Maybe the squad's just been rotated too much. But I don't think he's an inspirational enough midfielder to actually get the team going. He's not the kind of player who's going to pick you up when you tunnel down to get you to win 3-2. He's not the kind of player who's going to end up winning you the league and lift that title as captain. I don't see that in him at the moment. I think he's past that. But anyway, too much emphasis on one player. There are a couple other players in the squad now who I think, as much value as they do bring to the squad, it is time, I think. One such player is Juan Mata. He has been a great servant to Man United. He's been brilliant. I think from all the United players, the greatest free kick taken to goal ratio, I think, is Mata. And his creativity, I mean, you can just watch a game and you can see his movements.
But
and
is he going to be happy with a place on the bench consistently at his age?
if he does, he must stay on the bench. If he stays at United, he must come off the bench and he must be there for experience, for his World Cup title. He must be there as an inspiration to the squad, basically. Because that's what you need in a squad. You do need a couple of those big profile players who have been there and done that, and the other players feed off them. And when they see them on the field, they know their presence is there. They know that experience is there. It lifts their game. So I think that's what his role is at the moment. And if they keep him for another season, that's cool. That's all right. I don't mind because he does have that World Cup to his name and a lot of great experience and titles he's won along the way. And the only other player that has that in the United squad is Pogba, and there's way too much emphasis on him. I feel sorry for him at times. I mean, I feel that was the demise of Jose Mourinho. Just everything was about Pogba, 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 Pogba. And I think
Tried to build a team around him too much.
Yeah, but by building the team around him, he put way too much pressure on Pogba. I mean, Pogba did what he could for United, and it was great that in a team like France, he could actually fit in and have players play around him who also had to carry that French team. And everybody knew their role. You got Olivier Giroud, who didn't score a goal but ended up winning the World Cup as a striker.
Yeah.
So I don't think everybody really knows their roles around Pogba. I think everybody just relies on him to actually dictate play when they actually also need to go steal 3 points every now and then. And then the other player that I want to mention that is way too inconsistent at the moment, and I know he is, people are going to probably criticize me for this, even y'all, but it's David De Gea. As brilliant as he is, as great as his
I
shot
don't think
stopping
anyone
is,
can disagree with you with that.
he is just costing us way too many points.
Keane agrees with you as well.
No, you can disagree, but I mean, it's when you count the number of
Keane
mistakes.
agrees with you, yeah. He's gonna catch a bus home.
It's not Man United quality. Sorry, that's not how you win titles. Yeah, you need somebody consistent between the sticks. He can be consistent. Don't get me wrong, he can be. But the amount of fumbles he's made, the amount of goals he's let that should not have gone in, it's criminal
definitely a
for the team
confidence
that he's playing
thing
for.
with De Gea, but it's been a confidence thing for about a season or two now. He's been a mistake waiting to happen, and I'm seeing a
He can
very
be the
bad
world's
trend.
best.
I'm seeing a bad trend. He's looking very similar to Joe Hart in Man City. Where you just don't
say that. Don't say that.
You just don't recover from it, and then you go and sit on the bench everywhere.
Where did he end up? In Galatasaray or something.
Yeah, now he's swarming with Burnley.
Yeah, I used to say this about
Burnley
him, that he was the world's best number one.
He was. Not anymore.
Yeah, but
I think everyone agrees.
Do you not think
before
that
we lose the
keepers
focus,
are exposed because of the poor United defense at the moment?
Yeah, exactly.
No, definitely.
And I was coming to that one. Kai, you hit the nail there, and I was going to actually get your opinion on this one.
Yeah, so I can lead into that one, right? So,
but I want you to place emphasis on one leader. On one leader.
Joe Hart was at Torino.
Maguire.
That leader being Maguire, and if we're focusing a lot on the Tuesday match, and we looked at that front five, and they were brilliant, but Maguire didn't lose any confidence. For someone who's cost as much as he did, coming from Leicester, he just doesn't seem like the leader that United need in that defense, and that might contribute to De Gea being as erratic as he's been. What's your thoughts on Kai? What's your thoughts on Maguire and United defense?
Yeah, I think firstly I must say that he scored a good goal today. He took United into the next round of the FA Cup. So maybe that's one contribution that he's done, right? But at the end of the day, United bought him as a defender. Okay, he's an English defender, which is why his price was so exorbitant. He did averagely in the World Cup, which is why it inflated it even more. Because we all know how these English teams inflate prices of defenders or English players that do okay in international tournaments, and that's the reason why you ended up with a mediocre defender that can play the ball out a little bit at that price.
True.
In my opinion, this guy is average, right? He doesn't belong in the United team. As much as I hate United, they have been a brilliant.
He's being honest.
No bias.
These guys have they've had a brilliant team over the years. I've been supporting Arsenal from the time that United were dominating. When Fergie was there. And they've always had brilliant defenders. Yapstam, Vidic, Ferdinand, all of these guys. Maguire can't even clean this guy's shoes, man. Come on. He's useless. And it's just the fact that he's an English defender. That is it. And
yeah, he's definitely not.
Did he win the league with Leicester?
Yeah, he did.
No,
He
he
did.
wasn't part of the
Yeah, I
Leicester
don't think he
team
was.
at that
I don't
point.
think he was.
He got bought the next
Yeah.
season. But
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
I agree with you, Kai. I mean, Maguire is not instilled that confidence and that pillar of leadership that United paid all that money for.
Yeah.
One person
then-
that they did pay him a lot of money for, which was maybe showing
Saka.
good value, is Wan-Bissaka. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean,
That's decent. He's
you know
good.
when you look at a defense, you look at the defensive unit, right? Maguire is one of the four in that back line who's useless, in my opinion. Wan-Bissaka is good. You know, he's a good defender, but you have to have all of them gelling together and making sure that they work as a defensive unit cohesively. And that's what epitomized most of the United defenses throughout the years. Well-oiled defensive unit. You're not getting that at this stage. There's a lot of work that needs to happen. I mean, Bali was supposed to be coming in as a brilliant defender. What's the other guy? Lindelof. They were supposed to be coming in as brilliant
Lindelof
defenders.
had a
All
shocking
big
start.
signings, eh?
Come
Big
on.
signings,
You
big
know,
money signings.
all big signings. I'm sure if we actually do the maths, it's probably about 300 million between all of those guys that I just mentioned. You know, I mean,
I
you're
don't know
spending
what
that
Phil
amount of
Jones is
money
still doing
expecting
there.
quality.
I don't know why Phil
Exactly.
Jones is still in the squad, but the entire
Rather recall Smalling back from Roma and do a better job, man.
I don't mind Maguire staying there, right? But like you're saying, there's no cohesion in that defense. Wan-Bissaka is good getting forward, and he's a great defender too. I got no problem with him. Luke Shaw is a bit suspect at times. I know he likes to get forward a lot, but I question his defensive contribution at times. And then
At least he lost some weight, though. Did you see him today? Did you see
Yeah,
that,
his head is still big, but he's lost a little bit of weight.
and then behind those four, behind Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, and Shaw, you don't really have much cover after Bai and maybe okay, Jones is shit, right? But there's Rojo and Dalot, but I mean they're not regulars, they're not world class defenders.
no
and
ways.
Yeah,
from
but you
those
paid
10 or so
fucking
names that I
world-class
just
money
mentioned,
for him.
Exactly.
yeah, but we don't have a
what does
world class defense. That's
what
for
does
sure.
that say about your
This
In
is-
terms
recruitment
of centre
strategy?
backs, guys, we've got Maguire, and we know that he is good. It's not great, but it's good, and he's going to get even better. He just needs
What is he,
support
75
around
million?
him as
How
well.
much you guys pay for it?
Yeah, it's not
No
the,
idea.
the price is way out. I wouldn't put him over 30.
Yeah, but I think
We
Yeah,
need
so
another
that's-
centre back to make it. Look at Liverpool, for example. I mean, Gomez is shit, but because of BVD,
No.
And
Gomez is
Alex.
good.
you're
and Robertson,
comparing a
that
young
is why
man to an
Gomez is
established
just gets shadowed.
Englishman.
Check out.
Yeah,
I got an interesting
Maguire-
perspective on this, right? I got an interesting viewpoint on this whole topic.
Okay, let's hear
Sorry,
this one to close out the United topic. Shay.
Sure, it's okay, but this is more of a strategic observation rather than just United. It kind of could apply for any team, but we spoke about De Gea, and I spoke about his suspectness at times. I spoke about defense being very shaky as well, and we spoke about our midfield with Matic being the holding midfielder, and we spoke about our forwards. So we spoke about a whole lot of different units in specific to this United squad. What we saw, I think it was recently when Martial got the hat trick, was he scored early. He scored early and we banged them. Our defense had no work to do that whole game. The keeper had no work to do.
Yeah,
to do.
one or two
Liverpool this season,
pieces
maybe
of
one or two,
pressure,
right? But nothing too serious. I mean, it's not like they were close to winning the game or anything of that sort. United had it in the bag from the start. With Liverpool this season, they've not had to chase. They have hardly had to come from behind. Do you recall any of the games except for the
Yeah.
United draw? Maybe
Watford.
did y'all come from
A
behind and
lot.
win? Yeah, okay, they lost a game. You came from behind and got points.
Yeah,
like
plenty
often.
of
A lot of
plenty
times.
times.
They actually, I think there's a record that they have where they've won so many amount of points from losing positions this season.
Yeah.
No,
But-
impressive.
And
Carry on-
that shows a
carry
great
on with-
team.
carry on with
they
the
can come.
points.
But anyways,
My
Keep
point
going
that I
on,
was
yeah.
making was if you get the ball in the net early on in the game, if you do that consistently, if your strikers are up for the challenge in the first 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and they actually give you the lead, then it makes defending very easy. because your midfield and your strikers and your defense just work as a unit to keep the ball all game. You get a player like Mascherano who can end up playing middle centre back. You get a player like Fabinho who can just wander the park and play wherever he wants to, because you've got that early lead. The pressure is gone. You're not chasing the game. There's no stress about we need to stick to the game plan kind of thing. Everything just loosens up after that.
I do agree, but I mean, we'll talk a lot more about Liverpool as we close out on the last point of conversation. But I think mentioning Liverpool is a good place to reflect on where United is. The new setup with these flair
As a
attacking
cheap
players.
shot, you just took a cheap shot.
But it's a truth. I mean, it's become a blueprint. But it's important, I think, not just Liverpool, but Man City and all of these teams who've had success recently. They found an identity. And I think for once in the last maybe 7 years since Fergie's left, United potentially has a identity that they can build on. And if you can nurture that and make a few changes here and there in terms of the defense, which we still, all of you have mentioned it, there's a few suspects on that back line, but there's a lot to build on. And I think if Ole is given the opportunity longer term, he may be able to get it. And I think I want to close out the United discussion with a final thought, a yes, no, maybe. Actually, no maybes going around the table. Starting with Gur. Will Ole still be manager of United at the end of next season?
Yes, 5 seasons.
Shane. Ole for the long run.
Yes, but I have one bit of criticism. He should have signed Haaland, young Norwegian striker. They should have formed a relationship together. You should have made him a champion. Have you seen what he is doing at the moment at Dortmund?
That's another yes. You see him as a long term.
Yeah, it's a yes. It's a yes. Ole is right for the team.
Ole.
Okay, so
long term. Yes, no.
They said the same thing when Moyes was there. They said the same thing when Van Gaal was there. They said the same thing when Jose Mourinho was there. All signed on long-term contracts.
Who say that?
United supporters. All long-term contracts.
No, never.
Whether Ole stays,
None of
whether
them.
Solskjaer stays or leave, he is United for life. Just put it that
Come
way.
on, yes or no, Kai? Close it out. Close out the United topic. Yes
okay,
or no?
what I'm saying.
The next was
Saga, just let me talk. Right?
No
so,
one else.
You think that those guys are going to stay there for long because you give them a long contract. All of those are long-term contracts, 5 to 4 years.
I never give them
right?
a long-term contract.
United, right? So
come on, yes or no?
What I'm saying is they're going to say that they're going to say yes, but it's a no.
Yeah, so
what
we've got 2 yes.
We've
got 2 yeses and we've got 1 no. I'm going to put it down in our next topic and we'll discuss the Ole discussion.
What do you say?
Come guys, we'll discuss the management of a massive club like Manchester United on another
Arsenal want Wenger back, bro. They're screaming Wenger in.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Throwing Manchester United into the
let's go for it.
laundry basket for today. Okay, guys, moving on to the last topic, and obviously this is the one that excites me the most, but I'm going to be impartial about this one as much as I'm as excited as I am this week. So yeah, winning that first title in 30 years has been a weight of many shoulders. Everyone's been drinking to that, yes, Kai. Jurgen Klopp has delivered that 19th English Premier top flight title after 30 years, and he's done it with a canter. He's done it with 7 games to spare, the fastest ever English victory of all time. But I think everyone recognizes that this title was not just built on this year's amazing performances. It's been a build-up over the last, actually from the time he walked into the club, and I think that's where I want to focus on. Yes, the title is great, 2019-2020 season, but I think he's given a bit of a blueprint to what building a championship squad and championships club looks like. And I want to get your thoughts on that. We'll start with Gur this time. Gur, looking at when Jurgen Klopp came in from Dortmund, established winner, championship winner with Dortmund, took them to the Champions League final. He came in and he said, I'm going to turn you from doubters to believers. But after the first season, Liverpool finished in 8th position. What do you think made the leadership team in Liverpool in the hierarchy keep a manager who's only achieved 8th position after the first year in the job?
Look, I'll be honest, Joe. Klopp, I wish he came to United. Back then, we all knew. We all knew.
United boy said it.
That
That's
hit,
it.
that
Only
hit
is
me
at
in
the
the
wheel.
feels, Ra. That hit me in the
Only
feels.
is that the wheel.
Back then, we all loved him, man. Loved his attitude, and even now, you can see the persona. You can't say that about many managers. It's that he's he goes and hugs all the players. And he's just like he's so intimate with them, and it's something that you respect from a manager. He's like one of the boys. So that persona, it rubbed off onto the management staff and onto the players. He knew what he had. He had shit. He started off with shit, but he slowly worked them up. He took shit out. He threw that shit out and he brought in some fire. And that is how he won the league.
Mm.
And we knew it was coming. And I mean, it's the same now. Why I say Solskjaer is going to be here for at least the next 5. It's because he's doing the same thing. And man, yeah, Klopp is a genius. We knew it from Dortmund. And I mean, you look at his past experiences and you say, okay, yeah, this is what he's done. So even though it is his first season, and I know a lot of clubs, they don't judge managers on the first season unless they're just not gelling with the players. And that's when you see the players like Pogba and Mourinho, they just weren't gelling. And it rubbed off onto the rest of the players. And then if you're not getting the best out of your players, you're going to have to get rid of your manager, or you're going to get rid of all your players. And which is the better option? One person or
Yeah,
10 stars?
I think you mentioned something very important then, and I guess I was leading to that. And in my analysis of Liverpool in that first season, many of my fellow Liverpool supporters and myself included, we looked at 8th position and we actually ended that year feeling very positive, very optimistic because of exactly what you said. You could see someone who's got a clear philosophy about uniting the team, uniting the club, and using every aspect of the football organization to its benefit. And he did that in the first season. He brought everyone together. He went through a rant around the players, the fans leaving the stadium early. A simple thing like that just showed the type of manager that you've got. But as you said, an important aspect was getting rid of the deadweight, the likes of fucking Sacco and wonderful Balotellis and Lamberts of this world. We had many of
Lovren is
those.
still there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lovren was still there. But from a recruitment perspective, I think he had a lot of good support from the team above him. That helped a lot. And maybe just to talk to that a bit in terms of the recruitment that he's made. And we know we laugh at the Southampton jokes, but Liverpool made some key signings over the last 4 years. None more than the likes of Salah, Van Dijk, and Alisson. Kai, what's your
What
thoughts
about
on
Mane? Hey, you must have mean, man.
Mane was quite early there, but yeah, for sure, him as well. And then
Yeah.
everyone else, someone like Andy Robertson, fucking 10 million for someone who's the best left back in the world right now, arguably. What's your thoughts on the recruitment and the transfers and outgoings and incomings that Liverpool had over the last 4 or 5 years that built them to have the squad that they have now, that are 25 points clear from the challenges?
Yeah, so I'm glad that you added the outgoings as well, because for me that was the key movement for Liverpool, right? I mean, you got rid of Suarez, not got rid of, but you sold Suarez, you sold Coutinho for big money. I mean, that's over 200 million for those two players alone, right? And you get in players that the club actually needs. You get in a better defender, one of the best in the world now, right? You get in one of the best keepers in the world, and you get a striker that does a job for the team. You know, I mean, Salah, we can talk about all the time. Mane, we can talk about these guys all the time scoring goals. But that spine that I just spoke about is what actually wins you titles. And that's what Klopp did. He had a strategy. He knew what he wanted. I mean, you get in Robertson from a side that actually wanted to release him. You both Trent up through the youth academy. You kept Henderson, who in my opinion probably won't even make it in the second team for Wolves, but he does a job for the team.
Like in Championship.
Right? Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So, and I told you this before, right? So Liverpool for me is a well-oiled German machine at the moment. It does the job. It does it consistently. It gets you the end product all the time. And that obviously has come through the years of transfers in and out. But as I was just saying now, Coutinho and Suarez, you guys should thank them, because that's what built this side now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's about
it was
finding
a good bit of business. Yeah, the balance of it all, right? I mean, you bring in high-profile players, and then you promote the Trents and the Robinsons and the Hendersons and all of those guys. And basically, you're trying to get the best combination to win your title, and that's what Klopp has done. And you got to give him credit for that. You know, I'm a little bit.
Salah over Coutinho, Kai.
Sorry. So
you say Salah over Coutinho.
So I'm sure Liverpool players as well as the management wanted Coutinho to stay. But the season before Coutinho was supposed to leave, they got in Salah for a reason. He was already earmarked to leave. And they already knew that Coutinho was leaving, and that's the reason why Salah came in.
No, but I'm asking you, what do you say?
In my opinion, Salah does a better job for Liverpool than what Coutinho could have done.
I agree with Kai. I think with the model or the game plan that Klopp was implementing, Coutinho has immense talent, just didn't fit in as well as Salah's energy and movement. That's the Liverpool that won the Champions League and now the English League. That style of play won them. And that actually leads me to the next one in terms of, it's not just the likes of Salah, Mane, and Firmino who's helped with this over the last 2-3 seasons of losing only 2 league games, but also guys who came off the bench, the likes of Origi's and Lallana's and Ox and all of these guys. So Shay, as an ex semi-pro yourself, how does one keep someone motivated when you're coming off the bench most of the season? The likes of Origi needed to do that, and they delivered, and they were satisfied. They didn't leave at the end of last year or the previous year. So how do you think Klopp gets these players motivated if they're not in the starting level?
Firstly, I sold Joel, so it's not X, and I never played semi-pro, so close enough. But
almost semi-pro. So
let's start off with firstly, I've been waiting to say this the whole time, massive congratulations to Liverpool and all Liverpool supporters. We know, as Indians growing up in Durban and Joburg, that football, especially between Man United, Liverpool and Arsenal, is religion. It's we take it to heart. We take it seriously. This is what keeps us up at night. This is what we look forward to. This is what we get excited about. This is what we meet up for. I mean, it's a big part of our lives.
For sure.
So having, and I'm not no malice whatsoever in the way I describe this, but having had so much success in the past, being a Man United supporter, you kind of just it becomes expected. You set your standards for your team, and you want them to always be at their best. And I think there's a Liverpool generation who are a good 30 years older than us, who have seen the success in the past, and they know what the standards are for Liverpool. And to follow up onto your question now, I think in our lifetime we got a glimpse of it in Istanbul when y'all had that amazing comeback, and it just maybe gave you all a bit of a reminder of what your football team's about with such a huge fan base and what you're capable of achieving, becoming champions of Europe. And then y'all did it again last year, and y'all did it with Klopp, and y'all did it with a player like Origi coming and scoring in the semi-final from a corner, coming back 4-0 from Barca. Y'all did it in the most emphatic style. And I think that success from last season really laid the foundation for Klopp and Liverpool this season, because the biggest thing about a manager like Jurgen Klopp, like what y'all mentioned about him being very social with his players and very comfortable and hugging them, and we saw him running onto the pitch and celebrating with Alisson and getting a fine and stuff. He's got them to believe. He's got them all thinking on a common mindset. It's like your team, your squad on the field has one mind, and you're all just playing for each other all the time. You all know no matter what, you all have a standard, and that is those 11 men in the field represent Liverpool Football Club, and they will be the best team in the world. That's what he's got them believing at the moment, and that's what they're doing. And it's very evident. It's working. It's worked from last year. It's happening this year. I mean, the amazing thing is y'all only brought in maybe one or two players this season, and those were
just
shit
one
players.
actually.
Like Adrian, your goalkeeper or something like that, and then Minamino.
And then Minamino
Again, Minamino's not shit.
So you
He's gonna be good.
Congratulating them, but you didn't congratulate them.
No, I am congratulating them. Well, that's them. They must. As a Man United supporter, I'm saying it sincerely. Liverpool deserve the title this year. They've been knocking on the door for years right now, and I know you won't hear this from every single United supporter. No, but I'm talking about in more recent time where they've been finishing second and coming close and slipping up.
It's been consistent.
No, it's slipping up. You see, that's a
slip, man.
Yeah. But
no insults this time, man. We're the unbearables.
Genuine, you got the league, you'll deserve it. You're the best team in England. You're arguably the best team in Europe right now. And Jurgen Klopp has made all the difference, especially having three leaders, I would say, in the team, with Milner coming in as a third leader. And then you've got Henderson and Van Dijk, who are on top of the world right now. You've got two players who are potentially Ballon d'Or, one defender, Van Dijk, and then Salah, maybe even Mane. And then you've got your striker who, like we saw with Real Madrid in the past and Karim Benzema, he had a role to play. He was setting up the midfielders, and the midfielders were banging in the goals. Firmino does the same thing. He's not selfish. He knows what his job is. He knows what his job is. He is bringing Salah and Mane into the game, and including your other attacking midfielders. And y'all have got attack in your defense, even with Robinson and Arnold. Those are just the most attack-minded defenders you've seen.
Reinvented the wing-back positions.
Yeah, and the fact that they're still keeping clean sheets while they're doing that, I mean, that's what wins you titles. And finally, you got it together. You did it with 7 games to spare. I mean, that's testament alone to how much belief the squad has. They knew from the start of the season, we are winning the title. And they went, 20-something games before they drew at Old Trafford? Now they've finally gone all the way. I mean, it's unfortunate with Watford. I'm sure Kylan is ecstatic that Arsenal are still the only invincibles. Actually, everyone is ecstatic except Liverpool. We could have let y'all have that as well. But yeah, I think what you'll see now in the next 6 to 7 games is a lot of rotation in your squad with all the lighties come in, and you'll have all these youngsters.
Do you think
I mean,
I
like
think the
you got
intensity
Elliot,
won't be
Jones.
stopped there. I mean,
No, intensity won't stop. You'll still want the points.
Else to play for, you know.
And they got records to play for.
Yeah, that's why they'll play their best.
Yeah, but you still got guys still going for golden boots and clean
sheet. Don't think I'm saying that the whole squad will change. But what I'm saying is you're going to see a lot more of the youngsters. Minamino's going to get more.
Yeah, I agree. Elliot and all these guys.
Elliot will come in.
Especially with the 5
Lallana, Shaqiri. Yeah, especially with the 5 subs. Hey, we saw 6 subs today with United. They're the first team to make 5 subs in one goal and 6 subs. That was a funny one.
So I mean,
Pogba came on later.
It's going to be an exciting 7 matches to celebrate. Man City, those cakes are going to have to give us a guard of honor. Going to love that in the coming week. But I think all of you mentioned it. This season has been a culmination of many years of hard work for LFC, and I think it's an example to the likes of the Arsenal under Arteta and the progress that Solskjaer has made or trying to
Somebody
make.
told you 5 years ago. If somebody told you 5 years ago, Arteta will be coaching Arsenal, Lampard will be at Chelsea, and Solskjaer will be at United, would you have believed it?
Big change. But I mean, the Liverpool model is something that many of these big clubs need to just look out for. Klopp was not successful in the first 2 seasons. We only saw any form of true success by reaching a Champions League final in season 3, and even then it was without a trophy, but you could see the progression, and that's when the ideas of a manager come in.
Yeah, I think just to interject with that one, right? So I think for me, Klopp and Pep got into the Premier League at basically the opportune time, where results-driven, type of playing was not as bad as what it is now. I mean, look at Van Gaal and the Mourinhos and how quickly these guys leave. I mean, Pochettino has done brilliantly for Spurs, but they gave him the boot. I mean, got to the Champions League
but that's
final.
exactly it, right?
What I'm saying is you got to give these managers time. I mean, I know where you're going to rebut with this on Pochettino, right? But look what he's done, where he's brought them from, and look at what Klopp has done for you. I mean, in that, let's have it right. Liverpool were shit before Klopp. They weren't even sniffing this thing, right? So even in that first season when they made it to 8th position, it was still an improvement.
No, it wasn't. I mean that's.
I'm talking about playing style.
Even that, man. I mean, we were flipping exciting with the Sterling, Sturridges, and Suarez. But I think you went to a good point where, and I sent you guys the stats the other day around how after a 4-year period they peak. Most managers peak, and if you don't capitalize at that point, you're gonna fall.
You're not gonna.
Liverpool saw it with manager after manager. Benitez took us all the way there and we failed. Rodgers took us all the way there and we failed.
This just slipped up.
What Klopp did was he won the Champions League. He won a trophy that kept him in the job. And if the Artetas and the Solskjaers and the Lampards are still at their respective clubs after 4 years, it will be because they delivered at least one trophy. If you don't, then it's a problem.
I agree with you, but I mean, it's not as ruthless as it was back in the day. I mean, look at Mourinho. He won a trophy in his first season with United. And he was gone very quickly after that. Pochettino, it's not easy to get to the Champions League final. Pochettino did that, and the next year he was sacked. So you got to give a little bit of credit to that Liverpool hierarchy. They also bought into Klopp's culture. I think first credit obviously goes to Klopp indoctrinating everyone into the new way of moving forward. But I think you got very good buy-in from the hierarchy, and everything culminates, and that's how you get title-winning teams. It's not just the players on the pitch. In fact, today I was watching it on SuperSport, and Jose Enrique. I'm sure you even forgot this guy even played for Liverpool.
Of course, I remember him, man.
Apparently, on the first day that Klopp got to Liverpool, he allowed every single off-pitch employee walk across the stage in the conference room, and the players had to clap. So basically, he said to them, "It's not just you that's on the pitch; it's the guys off the pitch that are going to make your job easier to do.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
an
need to do what
organization.
you're supposed to. It's a culture. Yeah, that's the shift that happened.
And I think all clubs are trying to get that, and for sure, without doubt, next season is going to be a much closer affair. The likes of Chelsea are going to be really a threat to any potential champion, and Liverpool defending that championship United, Arsenal are gonna be much closer than they are right now. And I think in our next show we'll talk about the exciting signings that Chelsea have made for next season, and
more.
the race for the top four. That's going to go down to the wire. United are battling Chelsea at the moment. Wolves are sniffing every week. They're pulling in good performances, so they might get a shout out as well. But guys, thank you. It's been a great first show. I hope all of the listeners enjoy it as well. Still finding our feet, but as I said, we're bringing fresh opinions, ideas that many of you guys are thinking about, and we're bringing it to conversation. And yeah, something cool to listen to. And maybe if you're enjoying it, give us a shout out, and we'll pull you into the calls as guests. But the four of us, Shaky Garage, we'll be having these conversations a lot. It was fun, boys. I hope you all enjoyed it.
That was good, man.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
really enjoyed it.
Man.
Yeah, so that's all for today, guys. And join us again next week, where we're talking more football and bringing it live and from the street. Only and the Crab Net Show. Take it easy.